Hello everyone, today we will start a new unit on travel. Let me show you the outline for the lecture today. In the beginning, we will talk about different types of travel to see how much you know about traveling and whether or not you are able to describe different modes of travel. Then for the reading, we are about to learn from a group of travelers. They do totally different things in their trips. What do they do then? We will find out from the article Urbexers, Life on the Edge of the City, and we will also do some comprehension practice. Finally, we will review present and past participles. Do you know the differences between them? And do you know how they function in sentences? If you do, this is a chance for you to review. If you don't, this is a good chance for you to learn them properly and use them properly in sentence making and in speaking as well. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I would like everyone to take out your textbook Perspective 2 and turn to page 21. So on page 21, I want you to take a look at activity 3. Under activity 3, you see 6 pairs of words. Have a look at them. Do you know what they mean? And do you know how they are different from one another? Okay, so let's get started from the first pair. Cruise and excursion. So what is a cruise? A cruise is a journey on a large ship for pleasure. And an excursion is a short journey for pleasure. So when people are on a cruise on their trip, sometimes they will stop by an island for maybe half of a day, and people are allowed to go sightseeing on that island maybe for 2 to 3 hours. Then that kind of trip will be called an excursion, a short journey for pleasure. The second group, commute and ride. So commute is a verb. It means to make the same journey between work and home. For example, when we go to school or when we go to work, we need to travel from home to the company or to school. Then this process is the process of commuting. And ride here is a noun. It means a free journey in the car to where you want to go. For example, if one day you are waiting to cross the street and all of a sudden you see a friend of yours in the car, and that friend offer you to take you to your destination, then that person is offering you a ride. Okay? The third pair here, expedition. An expedition is a long and organized trip for a particular purpose, which means an expedition is the opposite of an excursion. And voyage is a long journey by ship. Okay, so it usually refers to a trip by ship. Okay, so these are the first 3 pairs. Cruise, excursion, commute, ride, expedition, voyage. I recommend you write down the ones you don't know. Okay, write down the definition for the ones you don't know. Okay, let's move on to the other 3 pairs. Flight and destination. So a flight is a journey in an aircraft, and destination is the place where someone is going. For instance, whenever you get your ticket for a flight, then on that ticket you will see destination. Okay, it means the place where you are flying to. Okay, the fifth pair right here, okay, refers to a journey in a vehicle in general. Okay, and then this next word has two pronunciation. You can say it like route or route. It refers to a particular way from one place to another. Okay, good. Finally, trip and backpacking. So a trip is a journey. This should be the most familiar word to everyone. And finally, backpacking is quite popular among your generation. So the activity of traveling while putting what you need in a backpack. So if you decide to go backpacking, this is not a kind of trip where you can go shopping a lot and live as comfortably as you want. Okay, if you decide to go backpacking, you must be ready for some challenges. Okay, so these are the 6 pairs of words about travel. Now, to help you be more familiar with them, could you do the practice below? Below you see 6 sentences with some blanks. Spend some time filling them up, and when you're done, come back to the lecture. Okay, I assume you are done. Now let's go over the answers one by one. Number 1, when my parents buy car. So now we know, okay, the parents in this sentence, they travel by car. They give me a what to what. So school here is obviously the destination of the person here. So in this case, we assume that the parents are traveling from home to their own destination. So we will choose the verb commute to travel from one place to another. And you also have your own destination, and your parents offer you a free ride. So here you will put down the word ride, a free journey. The second one, RY5608, that isn't our what? So by the number here, we can probably guess this is a number for an airplane. And also the verb here, flying. So we are sure that we need to put down the word flight here. It's flying to the same, but it's a different airline. So flying to means the place it is heading to. So destination should be the word here. Some passengers on the what stay on the ship. So by the word ship here, we can tell the word should be cruise. But we went on an what around the old port. So what is a port? A port is a space for ships to park. Okay, so excursion, a short trip. Okay, excursion, a short trip. Number 4, we had an what? I'm glad we were and didn't stay in a hotel. So didn't stay in a hotel. We saw more of the outdoors that way. So overall, this is a good journey. So you'll put down trip. But what kind of trip, okay, is it? It's going backpacking because you don't stay in a hotel and you spend more time outdoors. Number 5, when I went for a bike what yesterday, I took a different what. I get bored going the same way all the time. So from the sentence, we can tell that this person go on a different trip today. So here, a bike ride, okay, it refers to a journey in a vehicle. And from one place to another, we also have the word route here. Okay, take a different route. Finally, the what to the Antarctica lasted a year. After a difficult month-long sea what, the scientists started their research. So, for scientists to do research in Antarctica, we are talking about a long trip and a trip that is usually planned beforehand. So the word should be expedition. And you see the word sea, which means this is a kind of trip by ship. So you will fill in the word voyage. Okay, so these are the 6 pairs of words about different types of travel. Okay, so before we start reading the new article, let's go over some popular types of travel in recent years. In 2020, with the outbreak of the coronavirus, people were not able to go traveling, which means they are stuck in their own nation. And people who were in the airport find it difficult to make a living. So they started a kind of trick called pretend to go abroad tour. So by definition, you can tell that this is a fake tour, which allows people to go through the procedure they all need to take when they are about to visit another country. So if you go on a pretend to go abroad tour, you will go through the check-in process. You will also get a boarding pass, and then you also need to undergo security check, which is exactly what these 2 girls are doing. Even though they have their passports in their hands, they're actually not going anywhere. Okay? Would you like to go on a pretend to go abroad tour? Some people think it's exciting. On the other hand, some people think this is a bit stupid. Okay? And we also have another kind of trip called staycation. Usually we will say we go on a vacation, right? But here, during the pandemic, people are not able to go anywhere. Okay? So they stay in their own country to have a vacation. Okay, so this is what we call a staycation. And to help with the hospitality industry, okay, so by definition, the hospitality industry refers to restaurateurs and people who are in the business of opening hotels. Okay, so these people are all in the field of hospitality. To help boost the economy, means to make the economy more active, the government issued stimulus vouchers, a sum of 3,600 NT dollars last year for everyone to spend to help make the economy better, or what we say here, boost the economy. Okay, so these are the vouchers. And online, you can see more blogs about Taiwan staycation accommodation ideas. Okay, so this is the second type of staycation. And the third one I would like to go over is medical tourism. Before COVID-19, when people go on a trip, okay, for medical tourism, they are usually in other countries for plastic surgeries. So when we talk about plastic surgery, we usually associate it with South Korea, right? So if you take a look at the image on the upper right here, this is a medical tourism support center in Incheon International Airport. Once you arrive, you can book your appointment with the surgeons there, and they will send a shuttle bus, okay, to you that takes you directly to the plastic surgery clinic. Okay, so it's quite convenient. And that's why the economy of South Korea relies heavily on medical tourism. Now, with COVID-19, we have another line of medical tourism, which is a medical tourism, okay, for vaccines. Okay, so nowadays we do have some people booked plane tickets to the US to get vaccinated, right? For example, if you take a look at the image at the bottom right here, you can see this is the girlfriend of a TV star called Nado. She took her mom to the US to get vaccinated, and the plane tickets alone is quite expensive. Okay, it's quite expensive. Okay, so now let's also go over some vocabulary about COVID. So for each kind of vaccine, everyone needs to get at least 2 doses, right? Unless you are getting Johnson & Johnson, that just requires you to get 1 dose. So after you get 2 doses, you will say you are fully vaccinated. And if you are still waiting for your vaccination, okay, then you must, okay, first register for COVID-19 vaccine, okay, and wait in line. And in America, a lot of people, especially religious people, they don't believe in science. And the vaccine, the vaccination rate in the US is still not that popular. So this is actually a result of vaccine suspicion. Religious people, they don't actually believe getting vaccinated can help. Okay? And now when we go out or when we travel in public transportation, we all need to practice social distancing, and we must also remember to sanitize our hands. Okay? So these are 3 types of traveling for your reference, which is 2 kinds about COVID: pretend to go abroad tour, staycation, and medical tourism. Okay, so now let's turn to page 24 and 25. Before we start reading, let me show you the structure for an essay again. Now, this should be common sense to you. Whenever you receive or you are about to read a long article, remember you can always break it into 3 sections: an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And for the introduction, we usually can get the background, problem, and solution of this article. And for the body paragraph, there are usually 2 to 3 sections, and each part is started by a topic sentence that tells you the main idea and how that idea is going to be discussed. And there will be at least 2 supporting sentences. Okay? And for the conclusion, the author will review the main points and offer more insights about the topic. Okay, so now let's start the new article. So let me read the introduction. So for the introduction of this article, okay, it starts from line 1 all the way to line 15. Let me read. How do you get to know a city you've never been to before? For most people, the typical tourist options are enough. Take a bus tour to see the sights, or if you are feeling energetic, consider a walking tour. To get a taste of city life, use public transportation. But There are people who want more than the standard tourist options. They are urbexers, urban explorers. They are interested in discovering parts of the city we normally see as less beautiful, the places tourists are not supposed to see. Ghost subway stations that have been closed for years, shopping malls and amusement parks at night, abandoned factories, construction sites, tunnels, and railroads. It's not for everybody. You can't be scared of heights or small spaces, and you have to be willing to take risks. So from the introduction, you should be able to identify the background, problem, and solution. To do that efficiently, I suggest you find the problem first. So how do you identify where the problem is? You pay attention to the transitions, right? Do you see any transitions here? Yes. If you take a look at line 6, you see but, right? Then there you go. You will know, oh, before but is the background. And after but, you will see the argument or solution. So here is an outline for you. So from the first paragraph, line 1 to 5, we learn different ways to travel, right? And these are usually how people travel. So walking tour or take public transportation to travel everywhere in the foreign country, right? Or in the foreign city. And what is the problem here? For some people, this is not enough. Okay, and who are they? They are urbexers. So this is a word coined by the author. It is made up of urban and explorers, and together it is urbexers. So from here, we also know what they are interested in. They are interested in something less beautiful, and they are interested in places people are not usually interested in. And what do? They visit closed subway stations, shopping malls, or amusement parks. And what kind of people are they? What are urbexers like? They are quite adventurous. They are not scared of climbing a tall building or visiting small spaces that might make some people feel claustrophobic. Okay, so from the introduction, what do we know? Are we going to learn about standard traveling packages? No, we are going to learn a particular way of travel, which is urban exploration. And for the people who do this kind of traveling, they are called urbexers. They are interested in abandoned places. Okay, now let's start the body paragraphs. So for the body paragraphs, we will learn two examples. So for each examples is one section. Okay, so for the next section, is about the first example, and this starts from line 16 to line 35. Okay, so let me read this section to you, and I recommend you underline the topic sentence and number the examples. And if you can't, you can try to outline the section yourself. That would be great. Okay, that would be a good practice for organization. Okay, so let me read the first example. Bradley Garrett is one of them. Urbexers don't follow the same routes as everyone else. I've been to Paris 6 times and I've seen more of the city underground than I have above ground, he says. If somebody asked me for a good restaurant, I'd have no idea. It wasn't until Bradley and his urbexers friends had climbed to the top of London's tallest skyscraper, the Shard, and had managed to visit all of the city's 14 abandoned subway stations, that the police stopped them from exploring as a group. Bradley was studying urbexers for a book he was writing when they had to stop. Bradley's best experience as an urbexer was in Chicago with friends when they climbed the Legacy Tower, a 72-story skyscraper. We were sitting on the rooftop looking up at this building when someone suggested we try to get up. So we walked in and just got in the elevator after some residents had opened the door. When we made it up to the roof, it was the most incredible view I've ever seen. So the first example is the urbexers named Bradley Garrett. And what do we know about him? We know that he had been to Paris several times, but he is still not familiar with the tourist attraction. Why not? Because most of the places he visited in Paris are underground. They are not tourist spots. Okay? Not tourist spots like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, or the famous gardens in Paris. So those places do not interest him. And what has he done? He has climbed the tallest tower in London, the Shard, and the police stopped him and his companions from visiting abandoned subway stations as a group. And when they were not allowed to continue their exploration, he worked on a book. Okay, he worked on the book. And we also know he visited the Legacy Tower in Chicago. If you take a look at line 30, the word 72-story, the word story here has nothing to do with the story we know, such as Cinderella. Here, the word does not mean that. It means floor. Okay, so a 72-story tower is a tower with 72 floors. And from that trip to the Legacy Tower, he saw the most incredible view. Okay, so here let me give you a bit more information about Bradley Garrett. So the person here, he is Bradley Garrett, and he once said city is a sight to be seen, okay, but a place to be experienced. Okay, so we need not only to see the city, but also to experience the city. We need to feel it. So urban exploration is his way to experience what the city has to offer. And here you can see him on the edge of, I believe this is the Shard. Okay, this is the Shard. So this is what he does when he goes traveling. Apparently, this is not for everyone. If you are afraid of heights, this will terrify you. Okay, this will terrify you. I will offer the links of some video clips about Bradley Garrett. If you are interested in knowing more about Garrett, okay, click on those links and watch those clips. Those clips are actually quite fascinating. Okay, now we need to move on to the next urban explorers. So the same, underline the topic sentence and number the examples. And if you can, outline the paragraph. Okay, why do urbexers do it? Many enjoy the excitement of putting themselves in danger. Some enjoy the feeling they get from being alone in abandoned places. I feel I'm the only person in the world, says Zhao Yang, a 29-year-old Chinese urbexer who explores places where people used to work, like old industrial sites and abandoned hospitals. Like many urbexers, Zhao is an avid photographer who takes his smartphone to record what he sees, and like many, he also writes a blog about his experiences, but he prefers to explore alone. So from this paragraph, we learn the reasons why urbexers enjoy doing what they do. So it's about excitement. Okay, it's about excitement, and it's also about the ability to be alone, okay, in abandoned places. And here we learn more about the example of Zhao Yang. So what does he do? He visits industrial sites and abandoned hospitals. And for him, he takes pictures and talks about his experiences on the blog. Here, you will see this is Zhao Yang, and these are the pictures he has taken. Those places look quite scary, don't they? So this is an abandoned hospital, and this is, I believe, an abandoned factory. Okay, so do these places fascinate you? If they do, you might check out Zhao Yan's blog to see how this kind of trip can be done. I will also give you a link about him on Trunk Class for your reference. Okay, so in Taiwan, we also have urbexers as well. So where do they go? There are actually quite a lot of options. And here I would like to show you the examples of abandoned UFO houses. So originally, these houses were planned by the city government for I believe it's for tourism. Okay, for tourism. But in the end, the budget was cut, so they stopped the construction and just left these buildings there. And in the end, they become abandoned UFO houses that piqued the interest of urbexers from all over the world. Okay, so this is one of the hotspots for urbexers in Taiwan. And if you're interested, I will also give you a link about these UFO houses on Trunk Class for your reference. Okay, now let's go to the conclusion. So for the conclusion, it says this can be dangerous, of course, but if you are interested in exploring city spaces, there are safe ways of doing it. For example, it's easy to look at a map, identify an area that is new to you, and go there. Another way is to try to get lost in your own town, or you could just set off for a walk without planning your route. Who knows what you might find? Okay, so after reading this article, we learn a new way of traveling, which is urban explorations. And the people who do this is called urbexers. And we learn two examples, Bradley Garrett and Zhao Yan. And in the end, the author recommend us take different ways of traveling into consideration. So try to think about this. Is this your cup of tea?